welcome back to the workshop. Right, give me a second, Roger, and I'll just get set up. Almost there. How's the audio and the visual? We all good? Come on, YouTube, catch up. I was too quick. Dum 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 dum. There we go. Excellent. Right, well, it's Sunday morning as always. Just coming up to 8:30. I think I'm a fraction early this morning, which is most unlike me. It's been a very, very, very busy week. These weeks don't seem to get, new pinned chat. Well, that's pretty cool. Got it. Thank you very much. Right, so who have we got? Roger Heaps, Mike Bazansky. Good morning, all. Good morning, Mike. Jim K, hello. Good morning, Jim. Any news on that CV joint? Oh man, it's a good coffee actually. Kill Switch. Hi Andy and crew. How's the world around you all been? Well, the world around me just seems to keep stacking up with jobs, and things seem to be taking a bit longer than planned. Some great news. We did get the new air compressor picked up and plumbed up and working. It's working, I would say, probably fulfilling about 80% of my expectations. I think one of the issues now is, one is the air filter that sucks all the dust out of the cabinet. Well, that was absolutely block solid and seems to be getting blocked very quickly. It's a very large filter, and we're getting a lot of dust out of it now. So I think the garnet is reaching the end of its life. We did empty the other shot blaster we have, the external one, just the tank, pressurized tank, and we chucked all that in there as well. And that, Mrs. Mechanic said, that made a massive difference. It really improved things. She can get probably, I'll show you in a minute. She's doing the big plates at the moment on that footwell kit, and she's probably 2/3 the way there. And she can do about 14 plates, both sides, in about an hour. That's roughly how long it takes, which is, it's a bit long, but hey, it's the way it is. So I did the ROV swap earlier in the week. The number 18, as they call it, is now here. I've done nothing with it at all. The new air compressor is very loud. It is. It's outside in the garden. Luckily, it hasn't been raining, although it is scheduled for rain today. And it is very noisy. And it's been going. It was going on Friday afternoon for a couple of hours once we got it all set up, and it was going for most of yesterday, from sort of mid-morning through till about 4:30. Mrs. Mechanic had enough by about 4:30, which was fair enough. So I'm very tempted today, actually, to just not do any more of that and let the neighbours have a nice, peaceful Sunday. Call me Mr. Considerate, but I think that's probably the sensible way forward. For me, the last 2 days I've spent designing a very similar footwell brace for a 700cc quad bike. Can't elaborate any more than that. And it's gone extremely well. I'm very near to the end, so I'll show you what I've come up with. It initially was based, I started off looking at the current design for the 450 and maybe adapting that, ideally trying to keep the same large plate, but turned out after maybe an hour or so that wasn't actually going to be possible. It was too much of a compromise. So, it's all new. But the good news is there's less fasteners and there's less components. Now that has to be a win because it makes it easier to make the stuff, and cheaper, to be fair, as well. So we're going to have a look at that shortly as well. 56 Crown Vic. Hello, Andy. Good morning. Good morning, 56 Crown Vic. Mike Adams. Hiya all from my hospital room. What? In Johnson City, Tennessee. So they allow you to use your phone in the hospital, or a tablet, or internet. That's pretty good, Mike. Well, first of all, why are you in hospital? What's going on there? Not so good. Kill Switch BB. What you done, Mike? Exactly. What have you done, Mike? Sheldon. Morning, Sheldon. Not the mill. Sheldon, the person, the pie eater. Morning, Annie and crew. Hope you're okay. Mike Adams. Yeah, fingers crossed. Sheldon actually and his business partner Jamie were both very upset with me. So I've heard on the grapevine. And the reason for that is I didn't get to go and see them for their official visit. You know, I got sent home from the South Island. So I'm working very hard behind the scenes to try and get that trip re-established so I can get down to the South Island and carry on. There's stuff I need to do down there, and I really don't want to fly. I'm not a flying kind of a person at the moment. A lot of the flights seem to be hotspots, so I have to go on the ferry, and it's a long drive. I don't mind it being a long drive, you know me, but at the moment, the powers that be, it's not going to happen. Maybe in a couple of weeks' time it'll change. I just don't know, but I keep asking the question. So, Sheldon, my sincere apologies, matey. It wasn't a personal decision. It was an instruction that I was given. Oh, my word. Connor K. Good morning, Connor. Morning, Andy and crew. Time for a pie and talk of machines and tools. Absolutely. So where was I during the week? Well, God, I can't remember. Monday I was at home. Admin work, lots of admin, doing I can't elaborate too much, doing admin, sat at my desk pretty much all day Monday. Now, Tuesday, went up to Auckland, delivered stuff, collected stuff, went to HQ, had a chat with Dave, tried to sort out a few things there, but very, very limited access that I have at head office at the moment because they're trying to segregate the teams and keep everybody safe, which I totally agree with. But it does make things a bit more difficult, and you've got to ask other people that are allowed in to do you favors and get stuff and move stuff around for you and send things out as well. And they've been really helpful. So if you're watching, any of you, thank you very much. Wednesday, what the hell did I do? Oh no, I stayed in Auckland Tuesday night. That's right. Wednesday, headed to Hamilton in the morning and picked up the air compressor. Now that was a bit of a palaver because I didn't have a fork hoist or a forklift truck, as we call them in England. So they used some kind of gantry crane thing. And then we had to sort out all the fittings. Now we nearly got it right, but we didn't quite get it right. We got it right enough for it to work, but it's not quite plumbed up the way I wanted it plumbed up. So I'll have a chat with Sean next week and get those sorted out. And then we can get that finalized. But I'll also show you the actual shot blasting cabinet because we got a filter and a water separator and things for it as well to try and keep the garnet nice and dry. What amazed me was that literally the size of the pipe that we're using to link the two components together. It's monstrous. Where do we get to? Simon Rawle, tools in the box. Ooh, you want to see what's in the box? It's a bit early in the live stream, Simon. Ooh, let me finish my cigarette and then we'll have a look in the box and then we'll chuck the pie in. Now the pie, just to update you, the pie it's out of a 6-pack of pies and it's an Irvin's steak and cheese. I've already had one and well, it's all right. Now, bearing in mind, this 6-pack of pies from the supermarket only cost $7.99. So we can't pitch our hopes too high with these. There is the pie. It's extremely thin. And if you look carefully, if I rotate it slowly, can you see that the center dips right down? It's probably about, probably on average, about a 10 mil dip in the middle. So that's a bit of a hint. As regards structure, it's already struggling. We've got a massive crack around the lid there. So we'll get round to that. The reason why it's in some blue roll is because, of course, in a 6-pack, they're not individually wrapped. So you'll have to just believe me when I come to discuss the packaging side of things. Because there's still 4 in the freezer. They're emergency pies. And it'll have to be a hell of an emergency to eat one, to be honest. But anyway, we'll come to that later on. Now then, where do we get to? Mike Adams. Pneumonia. I've had pneumonia and it's not very nice. And so I'm told, once you've had pneumonia, it never seems to go away. And I always seem to, and it's not from smoking, all right? So we'll put that to one side because I had pneumonia many, many years ago. And I only started smoking when I came to New Zealand. With pneumonia, and Mike, you can tell me if I'm right or not once you've recovered, and I'm sure you will. When you exhale, the last little bit that's in your lungs, I always get this sort of burbling sound, this sort of rattle going on. And it's not my asthma, it's a very different kind of sound. And it only ever seemed to come along after I got pneumonia. It was only a mild case of pneumonia, but I did have pneumonia, which was, I had a cold. That's right, I had a cold. And we had some ATV instructor training booked, and it was February. And the day that we had it booked on, it was snowing hard and sleeting, and it was really just cold and wet and horrible. And I had to go and do it because I needed a ticket because I had people to train that were already booked in, the following week. So by the end of the day, I was absolutely knackered, and I was pretty much under the weather after that for a while. Jim K. Oh, Andy, how else would you keep yourself busy waiting for the deals? I am really busy, and I'm just trying to put the brakes on it a little bit because it's getting a bit out of control at the moment. Kill switch. Oh dear. Rest well, buddy. Absolutely. It's not good. Mike, I'm to be released either today or tomorrow. Well, that's good news, Mike. Obviously, things are on the mend. Sheldon, good news. You're on the mend, Mike. Big thumbs up from Sheldon. Cheers, Sheldon. Kill switch. Still need to take it easy. Yes, most definitely. Don't catch any colds. Right, hang on, catching up. Harry Darg. I've been keeping myself busy. Went to Montana to pick up two bobcats that killed a guy's, oh my word, 5-year-old baby. Kathy went to pick them up so the cats wouldn't be put down. Wow. Hey, that's bad news, is that, isn't it? That's really sad. Simon, you're going to need 3 of those mini pies. Yeah, well, you're right. From a volume perspective, I would say at least 2, but there's maybe a reason why I wouldn't have 2, to be honest, or 3. We'll come to that later on. Mike, it's called Legionella pneumonia. It's not transmittable. It's contracted for moist air and places such as air conditioning systems that mold and mildew has set up. That's nasty stuff, isn't it? Sheldon, compressors taking its toll on pie quality. Well, there's no surprise given how bloody expensive it was. $8,000. It's not cheap at all, but it's a phenomenal machine. It really is. One thing to bear in mind with petrol-powered air compressors is the petrol engine runs all the time. And when the tank reaches pressure, all it does is drop the engine down to idle, so it just burbles away. But the exhaust on it, I can't show you at the moment because it's outside and there's loads of motorcycles outside in the garden around it, which I can't show you on camera. But when we finish doing this sandblasting, then I'll bring it into the workshop for a future live stream to talk you through it. One note to mention, if you're ever trying to start a petrol-powered air compressor that's already been running, you would do well to empty the air tank first. They do not like to start when the air tank's half full or above, and that's to do with the air pressure on the output side on the pump. It just doesn't like it at all. So yeah, just a helpful hint. KR Motor, good morning, Andy. Good morning, KR Motor. Welcome to the workshop, sir. Simon Roll, get well, Mike. Absolutely. And get well, Mike, from me too. Kill switch, mini pies. You need to set up a GoFundMe page so you can get a proper full-size one, lol. The reason why I bought them was, you've got to appreciate the really good things in life. You also need to experience the less good things in life. And I'm sure you all agree. And this to me is it's a you know, incredibly budget pie. I mean, what is it, $1.50 or something daft like that? It's cheap as chips. You've got to warm it up yourself, and well, you get what you pay for. End of the day, if they've only got $1.50 and there's a number of profit margins along that chain from the manufacturer, it's going to be produced for peanuts, literally. So it really can't be that good. Otherwise, there's something doesn't stack up, does it? Now, don't forget, we've already done the Irvin steak and cheese from a bakery, which is not the 6-pack one. There is a distinct difference. For a start, the one from the bakery is full of contents, as opposed to this one looks only half full, in all honesty. But yeah, it's marketed as a different pie altogether. So you can't compare. Well, we are going to compare the two, but you can't assume that what's in the 6-pack is the same as what you get from the bakery, because it really, really, really isn't. Mike Adams, yes, I had pneumonia before. Shit. Like you, I'm a smoker, but like you, afterwards, I always had just a little rattle at the end of a breath. You want to cough it out, but it never lets go. No, it never goes away. It's not like a phlegmy kind of thing. It's just a weird kind of noise. It's not there all the time for me, and I must admit, in recent years, I've noticed it a lot less. But hey, probably because things are hardening up in there. I don't know. Right, let's go and stick the pie in, because this one looks distinctly uncooked. I believe it is cooked inside, but it's not cooked much. So we'll go and chuck it in the pie warmer and get that thing started. Right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. Right, so we'll do a bit of a wander around and we'll do all sorts of stuff. So I'll try not to walk too quickly, otherwise YouTube gets very upset. Right, pie warmer is plugged in. I had to unplug it yesterday. So we'll chuck him in there. We'll give him a little bit longer, given the fact it doesn't look that well cooked. Okay, where should we start? Okay, Simon, you wanted to look in the box. Right, well, this is something which... Let me just move this out of the way. Bum, 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 bum. Stick him up there, gives more room. Oh, goodbye, fly. Oh, nearly. There he is. Right. So, what's in the box? It's actually pretty heavy. It's something that I've wanted for quite some time. I nearly bought one about 2 years ago and didn't, because it was too expensive. Couldn't really afford it. And I wasn't too impressed by the robustness. Jeez, hang on. There we are. Robustness of the device. This is a different brand. And okay, so I'm just going to show you that first. And then we'll come back. We'll go back to the comments and see if you can guess what it is. Right, next thing. Okay, let's head over here. At the same time, from the same supplier, I picked up, yes, lots and lots of wire brushy stuff. Because, in all honesty, we're getting a bit low on wire brushes. So it's easy just to buy them in bulk. We've got some nice brass wire, hand wire brushes. We've got lots of rotary wire brushes. Every single, I think I got 2 of every size that they did. They're really useful, those things. And Mrs. Mechanic uses them a lot for cleanup now. And, oh yeah, some normal, because the one that I'm using at the moment, which is over here, God, we're darting around the workshop now, which is normally over here. Where is he? There he is. Yes, I know, my toolbox is a bit of a mess. Look at the state of that. It's just wrecked, isn't it? It should go in the bin, really, shouldn't it? So, we've got those. Very, very useful. And they will last us a long time, to be fair. But you always forget. You know, I hate to just order 1 or 2. I just order a batch, because they're not expensive. These cost me about $4 each, I would say, for the rotary ones. And there's not a lot of difference in price on size either. They all seem to be similar kind of money, really. And don't forget, I buy from the wholesaler. Now, given the fact that we're doing another batch of footwells, we've got a ton of... Oh, these are cool little boxes. We've got a ton of fasteners. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we've got lots. In actual fact, we've still got some left from doing the last batch as well. So I always order a few extras, just in case. So the ones that I've got spare are over here, look. So we'll be using those up first. Now, you want to see some more fasteners? You probably do want it. So they're all stainless. Everything is stainless. Because the price difference between normal sort of zinc coated and stainless isn't really a lot. So we've got a shed ton of washers, 600 M6 flat washers. We've got a ton of the M8 thick washers. I say M8, they're not really M8, are they? They're just 8mm, or just over 8mm ID. Because there's no thread in there, Mr. Young. Jeez! Quite heavy boxes. Oh, nylock nuts, M8. What's in here? M8 with 30. Oh, countersunks. Yes, we use lots of countersunks in the design. Oh, more M8 nylocks. Yeah. Wow. Okay. M6 hex nuts. M8 flat washers. M8 flat washers. They're all standard. Say M8 flat washers. Yeah. Okay. You know what I mean. Okay. Plenty of those. What else have we got in here? Jeez. It's well packed. M8B45. Those are the set screws. That's right. Is that right? Heavy, yes, set screws. I remember now. Lots more washers. What are those? Oh, those are 6mm ID, but they're a heavy duty. They're a really thick washer. If you can see that on the camera there, look. And we've got a rogue washer. There's one. Look, there you go. So these are actually probably about 3mm, 2.5, 3mm thick. They're really, really good little washers. Super strong. M8B20 countersunk. What's in that one there? M6B30 set screws. Jeez, M8B20 countersunks. Got some of those already, so haven't we? I don't know, we'll find out. M8B45 set screws. Jeez. And many, many, many little boxes. Nylock nuts. All handwritten, look. Pretty cool, isn't it? More nuts. More nuts. Jeez. Could use one big box, to be fair, rather than lots of little ones, but anyway. More nylock nuts. More nylock nuts. Jeez, more nylock nuts. What's this one? M6B40s set screws. Wow. Oh, and we got this as well. Let's go and look at this. Right. Have you guessed what that is yet? I don't know what this is. Let's have a look. Sometimes you spot things on the website and you go, oh, that looks useful. Then you forget what they are. Oh, it's for doing collets. It is. It's a collet application tool. Probably a little bit big for motorcycle ones, to be fair. More for cars. But hey, it was super to camera, Andy. It was super cheap, so I thought that'd be quite a useful thing to have in my arsenal, actually. There you go. Give you a little rotate round. You put your collets in there, look. I don't know whether it'll be any good or not, to be honest. You've got to try it to find out, haven't you? But we'll give it a go. And that's a magnet on the end. It is. There, look. Magnets. We'll leave him there. No, he won't stand up. We'll leave him there. That'll do. Okay. Right, comments. Turn you round. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Terrible camera work, Andy. Right, where do we get to? Simon, Asda used to do a 59p beef and veggie pie. They were lush. Wow, that's pretty cheap actually for what it is. Jeffrey Boyle, one of those, and spanners. Cheers, mate. Several chassis ears. Chassis ears. What the hell? What are you on about? Chassis ears. Oh, we've got some spam. JJ, morning, Andy and crew. Lots and lots and lots of thumbs up. Cheers, mate. Sheldon, I need to get onto Mr. Forge for workshop supplies. If you can flick me his details sometimes, please. Absolutely, Sheldon. And I'm sure Jared will do you a great job. He's a top bloke. And I mean, genuinely really like the product. It's good quality gear and it's not over expensive. And there's no minimum order as well. You don't have to buy a whole box of something, which is important. Helps to keep the costs down. Will do, Sheldon, don't worry. JJ, keep the old worn down wire brush for getting into tight spaces that the new ones are too big for. I will. I'll keep that. I very rarely throw anything away, to be honest. It all just, it's only enough, you know, probably once a year I go through all the crap and try and clear it out. But and then usually regret doing it. There's always something you should have kept. But that's a very good point. Mike Adams, if your luck is anything like mine, you've bought all those fasteners. Now you'll still have every fastener but the one you need in the moment. I'm very fortunate, actually. Fortunate, get it? Fortunate. I have got a roll cab where I keep a pretty big roll cab, just over there now. It used to be over there, but it's not. It's over there now. Where there's 5 drawers of all the different size fasteners. So I mean, yeah, you're right. You can't stock everything, but there's usually enough to get by and to cut down and make do and stuff. You know, it's pretty good. I've never had a setup like that since before starting this workshop here, setting this workshop up, and it saves a hell of a lot of time. I very rarely ever have to go and get what I call the Uncle Ted's nuts and bolts box, right? And I've got probably 3 of them now. And if there's something that's very, very specific that I need, then I usually go looking there and I tip it out of the bench and I sift through and I normally find what I need. So I never throw any nuts and bolts away. They all, if they're not standard sort of stuff that I use, then they go in the Uncle Ted's nut and bolt box. And it's named after my Uncle Ted, obviously. Steve. Good morning, Steve. Hey, Andy. All in the pub after in the pub. He's always in the pub. Do you ever do any work, Steve? No, he's got his priorities right. Do the work, go to pub, sleep, or maybe eat, and then repeat, basically, isn't it? So, has anybody tried to guess what's in the box? I mean, Simon said chassis ears, but I have no idea what he's on about. Okay, maybe you need to look a bit more. Right, turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, let's dissect the box and have a look. So I'm gonna put you down on the tripod, and I can do things properly. Bear with me, people. Right, there we go. That's better. Okay, first thing. Oh man, this is extremely heavy. It feels like a big lump of metal. Let's have a look. It's got written on there, but it's got a little label with it, so we'll read that first. It's got, this might give the game away for those that know. Serial number VL 0711-002, nominal value 783 HLD. Right? Bear that in mind. That's a clue. That's a very, very important clue. Now, as you can see, I've not opened this up at all. This is completely virgin, so to speak. Covered in greaseproof paper. It reminds me of the old Zill that we had back that came from Russia. That had the front springs wrapped in this stuff. Bloody hell, look at this. Right, it is a large lump of metal. Okay, so what is it? What's it used for? Okay, where do we start next? And I've not been in here yet, I've just opened it up. So we've got a little pouch. I can leave that in the bag, can't I? You can see that little pouch, almost like a mobile phone holding pouch, but it's not. Little pouch, sort of probably fake leather. Oh, here we are, look, right. So we get a, geez, it's a bit top heavy, this box. So we get this thing. Now, this is the main part. Hasn't got any batteries in it, so I can't turn it on. We could put some batteries in. Let's go and get some batteries. Bum, 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 bum. Right, start thinking, because you've got some pretty good clues now to what it is. Have we got some batteries in here? Yes. There we go. Batteries. Oh, while we're here, these are my nuts and bolts. There you go, look, that's M5 and M6. And those that have seen the toolbox, jeez, seen the toolbox tour, bit short on M8s at the moment, actually, very limited M8 stuff. M10, lots of M10. M12, pretty big. Still a few gaps there. And, well, sort of a otch-botch kind of drawer. How's that? So there you go. Those are my fasteners. There are others are kicking around as well that haven't yet been merged in there. Right. Energizer, not a sponsor. Can be if they want to be. Okay. So we need 2 of these. Geez, live stream. Putting batteries in a live stream could go tragically wrong. Okay, so we'll put him in first. We'll put that one in next. And we'll stick the lid back on. Without breaking it, Andy. Jeez. It's a bit tight. There we go. Right, lid's on. Okay, I'm going to turn it on. I haven't plugged in the device yet. We're going to turn it on. It should be okay. Read the instructions. Okay, maybe we've got to plug the thing in. I don't know. Right, so we have, this is the only remaining component, this thing. All right, now it's got a slidey down, what looks a bit like a ball bearing down there. And it plugs in via a very complicated little plug, actually. So that plugs in into there, I would suggest. Yes. Okay, so that's now plugged in. Is it going to turn on? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe that's why it was cheap. Oh, come on. I'm pressing the on button. We've got the batteries right around. They're brand new batteries. Maybe you've got to hold it for 5 seconds. I don't know. No, I've pressed that for long enough now. Right, we've got some instructions. They're under the lid of the box. So let's get the instructions out. Oh my word. What does it say in here? Right, so have you guessed? Oh my word, it's telling you what it is now. Have you guessed what it is yet? Introduction, technical data. Will be very useful if it told me how it works. Operating the instrument, starting. Insert the plug of the impact device to the gauge and press the on key, turning on the power. Then do. Oh, it doesn't work. I've done that and it doesn't work. Oh, that's not good, is it? Oh, that's a shame. There, look, it even tells you on the back. Power on off. Well, we're doing that. Pretty sure I put the batteries in the right way around. Hey, a live stream, eh? Who would have a live stream? What a donkey. Let's try that. That might work. Hey, what an idiot. There you go, look. It's a portable hardness tester for metals. And if I can't even put the batteries in the right way around, there's no hope, is there, to be fair? It's the pressure of being on a live stream with millions and millions of people watching. Okay, the plastic, I'll tell you what, there we are. Plastic feels a little bit cagey, to be honest. And we can choose the different types of metal. I think, oh, different, yeah, you've got to choose the type of metal and choose the scale you want it to read on. But okay, let's find out. There you go, portable hardness tester, model DHT100. So we'll turn it off. There we go. Right, so let's go and see who guessed what it was correctly. Oh, and these are just little cleaning things. But very cool. And I will be doing a video on that once I've used it for a bit and I know how it works. Okay, let's head back and look at the comments. 3, 2, 1. Now I reckon that should be about right. There we go. Fancy putting the battery in the wrong way around, honestly. Terrible. Oh my word. God, what's been going on while I've been busy? Scrolling back. Right. Parknest. Hi everybody. Good morning, Parknest. Sheldon, a borescope. Very close. Simon, some sort of calibration device for seats. Seats. Okay. Parknest, oscilloscope. Good call. Bit small, but yes. Here, ooh, Sheldon, a thickness tester. Almost. Steve, ultrasound for weld. Oh my word, there's some pretty cool stuff going on here. All these things that you're telling me I should buy now. John Nuttall, thanks for your help this week. Steve at Simply Diagnostics, you're awesome. Steve is awesome, and he's a very helpful chap, to be honest. It really is. Sheldon, thick steel bits for calibration. Yes, the thick steel round donutty thing, well, the big chunk of metal is for calibration. Correct. Steve, you're welcome, John. Go away, fly. This message is helpful review. Parkness. It's for testing. No, it's not for that. I can't say it. It's not for that. Parkness. Is it Donalded? What the hell? Don't know what that is. Is it obviously an insider joke going on? Dave123. It says hardness tester on the instructions. It did. I didn't need a tester for that. I don't need a tester for that. Oh, it's going down. It's going down. Kill switch. It's a ponytail length detector. Good call. It isn't. Parkness. I got it the first time, but I can't read it out. Day123. You're right. Purple Monkey 1974. Testing paint thickness. No, it's actually for testing the hardness of metals. Now, one of the problems we have is when an engine overheats. Now, Sheldon will know exactly where I'm going with this now. When an engine overheats, and obviously most engines nowadays are made from aluminum or aluminium, if you're in England, the aluminium loses hardness. It becomes what we call soft, so to speak. Or the hardness degrades if the aluminium has been exposed to excessive heat. Now, I was speaking to a metallurgist, I don't know what they call them. Anyway, a guy that's really into metals, and I was discussing with him about a year ago, what factors affect this. And this is only in layman's terms, and you forgive me, it's a while ago I spoke to him, but it's all to do with a combination of the temperature that it's exposed to and the duration of time that it's exposed to as well. So, for example, a cylinder head can get really, really hot for a very short period of time, or it could get a little bit hotter than it should do for a very long period of time, and both scenarios will pull down the hardness of the metal. Now, before we all know that when you do a head gasket on an engine, you've got to get the head, you've got to check it for warpage, and usually you get it skimmed. But the first thing you should do, if you suspect there's been an overheat situation, and there normally has been if it's the head gasket's gone, you should get the aluminium head hardness tested. Now, this is something that I've been putting out to all the motorcycle shops that I deal with since I started at my current employer, and they all now do. Because what we were having, it was a number of repeat failures within a couple of months of the engine being rebuilt, and it turned out that some of them weren't. The problem being that if I can do a hardness test on the cylinder head whilst I'm at the bike shop, it's going to save them a week, because there normally isn't, for most of the shops, there isn't an engineering company in their town that has the equipment to do the hardness test. They have to send it on a courier to Auckland or probably to Wellington or one of the main cities to get it hardness tested. Now, if it fails, the head is then junk. It needs to be replaced. There is a process where you can reharden them, but I don't know where that's available, to be honest. So they just basically then decide they can order a new head. They know to order a new head as opposed to get the old head skimmed and reuse it. Or planed, as some people call it. Now, if they were to know that the head was soft before they ship it, then they would save themselves a week. They'd be a week ahead, and they can get the parts order in sooner. So I felt it would be very useful for me to carry that around with me in my vehicle, because there's often, you know, certainly on a run, there'll be at least one dealership that's going through the motions of doing an engine rebuild, and we can do the hardness test there and then whilst I'm on site, and we can decide then whether they need to replace the head or whether it can be sent off to get skimmed. So, you know, it was the reason why I bought it is, well, that was the main reason. But the reason why I bought it now was I was on the ISL website and they had a clearance page, and on the clearance page was that device, and it was a lot cheaper than what I would normally pay for one. So I went down to see Brandon, and because I had some other stuff to collect. I've got a nice cupboard there to put up somewhere, and I said, hey, that hardness tester that you've got, it's your last one. You're on clearance. It's on clearance. Can you do me a deal? So he did. He did it for half the price on the website, which was the clearance price. So half of the clearance price. So I said, yes, I'll have it. So I paid $580 plus GST for that. And the device realistically retails at $2,000. So I think it was a pretty good deal. Did okay there. So yes, I've got that for the arsenal. Yes, I can use it personally, but mainly it's to help me with my job and to help the motorcycle shops that I work with. It also allows me, if a head is replaced under warranty, then as you know, I collect all the old parts. I can actually retest it myself to make sure that somebody hasn't just written a load of numbers on it in order to get a new cylinder head, you know? So it's a bit of insurance policy as well. So it's pretty good. It helps me to do an audit kind of thing, an audit on what's going on. So watch out, Sheldon. No, it's not Sheldon, believe me. But there's always going to be a very small element of people trying to bend the rules a little bit for whatever reason. I don't know. The pie just went ping, by the way, so we'll just let it sit for a couple of minutes. Now then, where do we get to? Testing paint thickness was a very good one, though. I like that. Partners, sorry if I was being a bit rude. Hey, it's okay, mate. You can be as rude as you want. Well, within reason. I mean, YouTube ping it anyway, so it doesn't get shown, and I have to be really careful what I say on this on the live streams. I can't edit it out. Once it goes out, it goes out. Russell Deniston. I have to install a stator, field coil, and rectifier. I have them all in hand, as well as a gasket. Any tips? What's it on? Oh, here we go. CB750K. Any tips? Stator field. You shouldn't be too hard to do. Obviously, drain the oil first, because chances are it'll run in oil. Just make sure your gasket surfaces are clean. Handle it with care. Be careful when you put the, because on that one, I don't know on that one whether it's a reverse flywheel or not, like on the modern stuff. Does the stator sit in the casing, the outer casing, or like on the old Hondas, like what this is, does the stator sit inside the flywheel, bolted to the main engine casing? I don't know. I didn't go into Allen's. I don't know the layout, so I can't really help you too much on that. Other than be very careful with it. It'll be quite rare. K4. Oh, it's a K4. Right, so it's a bit newer than the one that I worked on. I just don't know. I didn't have to go into the charging system on Alan's bike. Mike, I'm just getting released from the hospital. Wow. Just got to wait on the paperwork. That's pretty cool, right? Well, safe travels home and keep warm. Manic Mechanic. Very cool. Hey there. Good morning, Manic Mechanic. That's a very nice name. I like that. Obviously, always very busy. Simon, I never thought of a head annealing itself. Yes, they go soft. We have quite a big problem with it over here in New Zealand. It's maybe because it's also the ambient temperature is a bit warmer. Maybe because people over here seem to ignore overheat warning lights quite a lot. I was driving an ROV about a year ago on testing. Hang on, it's gone out. And we were going around an off-road site in this ROV. Those that remember me talking about previously probably know what model it was. And it was pretty rough terrain, to be honest. There was a lot of water pools and stuff. And I was driving, well, I was testing the vehicle, so I had to put it under stress, you know, worst case scenario stuff. And in the back of the ROV, it had a tray, and in the tray was a big mound of gravel weighed out to the maximum weight payload. So we weren't overweight, and maybe after the first couple of hours, maybe 3 hours, the radiator slowly started to block up. You know, as the water dried on the radiator, it then hardened up the silt that was in the water, and the fins started to block up, which is pretty standard stuff. And it did get to the point where the overheat warning light came on. So me being me, you know, you pull over, you stop, let it cool down, and you know, once it's cooled down, check the water level, make sure it's all good, and then carry on tentatively. And it probably went through. It was on the last lap, so to speak, and each lap was about 20 kilometers. And on the last lap, it did this about 13 or 14 times on the return trip to base. But each and every time I would stop, let it cool down. It took all afternoon to get back to base. Let it cool down, check the water level, carry on. You know, just doing it by the book. And at no point did that machine have any problems from when it was then sold and gone into what we call into market with a customer. You know, obviously I cleaned the radiator out and stuff before it went out. So as long as, basically, in a nutshell, as long as you adhere to what the warning light's telling you, which is to stop the machine as soon as possible, let it cool down, then no engine damage results. Now, obviously, I get feedback from customers that have, you know, that own ROVs that have said, "Hey, no, I didn't drive it for very long with the overheat warning light on. I just stopped, and hey, the head's lost its, you know, hardness." And I know for a fact now that the only way that the head can lose its hardness and go soft is through prolonged driving with the overheat warning light on. So I know definitively that they're telling porkies, and it wouldn't therefore be warranty. And I've got all the evidence I need to justify why I'm saying that. So it's important that you do that kind of stuff so you know where you stand, you know. It's bizarre. I mean, I repaired one years ago that was from Waiheke Island, and the guy had been driving it for about 6 months with the head gasket gone, and it was just constantly topping it up with water, and of course the head was absolute junk by that point. Park Nest. Oh, just jumped off. Hang on. Would a softened cylinder head become porous? Only if it was to crack. And that's more likely to happen if the engine's red hot and somebody pours, you know, cold water in there. On most ROVs, the fill point is at the other end of the vehicle to where the engine is, so it's unlikely to happen on that. But on a car, obviously your radiator is a lot closer to the cylinder head, and the cold water could enter the cylinder head, and it could shock the head, and through thermal shock could cause a crack, and then of course it would be porous. But no, we've never come across a porous head yet. I've had a porous cylinder, but not a porous head on the ROVs that I work on. Skipper looks cool. It's a very cool tool, and I will have to look after it because I won't be getting another one. It's the only one I'm going to have, and it's invaluable for what I do. Russell Denniston, thanks. Sorry, mate. Sorry I couldn't help you any more than that, to be honest. Simon, here we go. Loctite on the stator bolts. Good point. Thank you, Simon. Sheldon, down here, us cheap people just use the plastic tube and ball bearing ones. Okay. Well, I've gone one step up there, Sheldon. And I'll bring it down it'll be in the ute. So when I come down to see you eventually, we'll have a play around with it and I'll show you how it works. And you can see the benefits of having that kind of kit on site. Especially if you're doing lots of engine jobs, because don't forget, every time you send the head away to get the hardness tested, it costs you it's anywhere between $40 and $60 to get it done. So over a couple of years, or maybe over 3 years, the tool pays for itself, and then you get to charge out and it makes you a profit. So all that kind of stuff, you know, if you're using it regularly, you should really have that kind of kit on site. But nobody yet in the network has anything like that. And they should do, really. Some dealers would definitely have profited from having that gear on site. And you get to all intents and purposes, you reduce the repair time down by a week, potentially. Mike Bazanski, use the digger lately. Yes, but not with a digger bucket on the front. I've been using the forks quite a bit. I used the forks on the front of Trevor to unload the air compressor off the trailer and to move it around. And I took the forks off, so it didn't have any implement on the front of the actual, loader section at the front. And I used that to roll the ATV that I'm working on at the moment for these foot plates, the 700, onto its side. I must point out that it wasn't pretty, to be fair. It did sort of flop over with a bit of a thump twice. Luckily, it's got the crash bars either side, but with the winch, when I'm doing one in the workshop, it's a lot more progressive and then more controlled. I still haven't quite got the finesse of using that loader yet, but we'll get there eventually. Dave123, Russell Dennison, check out Hacker Week's CB750 rebuild series on YouTube. He puts a 1974 together and goes over every part of the bike. That's my go-to when I have a question. Excellent, thank you, Dave. That's very useful. Tim Wickblad, I know that some racing machines have problems with heads when they use methanol fuel. No. Where do we go to? There we go to. The heat makes them soft. There you go. Obviously, the combustion heat's a lot higher. More power. Kill switch. Come on, people. 55 watches. Really, we're doing well. 55 watches and only 18 likes. Smike the like button, peeps. Kill switch PB. Well, at the time of writing, there was. We're down to 50 now. Obviously, I'm quite boring at the moment. Adam Flynn. Hey, big thumbs up. Cheers, Adam. Sheldon, I've seen a porous cylinder this week. Yes, it's not good, is it? John Nuttall. Russell, make sure the case you use is not damaged, as the rotor can rub on the field coil and stator if it's damaged. Very correct. Alignment is critical, and make sure the dowels are in place as well, because the dowels that locate the outer cover to the crankcase are very important for alignment purposes. Right, Mr. Pie, I think, is ready. So let's go and get the pie. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. In fact, just before I forget, this is what Mrs. Mechanic's been working very tirelessly for over the last couple of days, doing the sandblasting. There you go, look. That's the really fine dust that we get. That blocks up the filter big time, that stuff. Anyway, what an amazing job she's done. Look, that's what it looks like once they've been sandblasted. And this is what they look like before they've been sandblasted. And paint does not stick to this at all. It really doesn't. It's terrible. But paint sticks to this stuff really, really, really well once the surface is all nicely etched. So she's got all that. Well, they're all done. She's got all these still to do. Many, many, many components. 500 components all up. But as you can see, if I just zoom back, she's about 2/3 of the way through the plates. So good on her. She's working very hard getting those done. And I'll get her back onto it tomorrow, I think. But she can have a day off today. I think she's been working really hard. Right. Oh, that's the cabinet we've got. And the cabinet, it's full of holes, which is not good. It's designed for hanging things up inside and outside. So I'm going to get some aluminum plates, and mount them on the inside of the cabinet so that, all the holes are blocked up, because otherwise it'll just fill with dust in my workshop. And the whole idea of a cabinet is to keep things clean. Right. The pie. How's it looking? Well, it's got a massive crack in it already. Look at this. You can even see the filling in there. But it has hardened up a little bit, so that's good. Right. Okay, to the bench. Dum 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 dum. Pie time. I haven't got any blue roll. Oh well. Stick it on there. That's probably about the cleanest place in the workshop on my laptop. Right. Turning around. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. there's a massive lag on the video, on the live stream compared to actual real time. Quite surprised. I'm just going to get the pie now. That's how much of a lag there is. It must be like 30 seconds lag on it. There we go. Right, we're all caught up with the comments. Get rid of the phone. Get ready for the pie review. Okay, quick look around. Here we go. So that's the huge crack that we saw. You can even see into the pie, see the filling. Most bizarre. Don't think we've ever had that before. Okay, so that's a full lap of the lid underneath. Not too bad, just some minor cracks going on. And the top. Okay. Now, the last time I had one of these, which was yesterday, in readiness for this live stream, to be fair, it was immeasurably hot. So this might be the same case with this one, because it has to be cooked for quite some time. If it is, I'll just take a break and we'll let it cool down, because I burnt my mouth yesterday. I don't intend to do it again today. Okay, so the first bite, although a tentative small bite, was really only pastry. The pastry doesn't taste too bad, but it's very much pastry. Okay, I'm going to work my way around the failed lid just to give it a chance. The base is already starting to crack. So there's the filling. Pretty sad, isn't it? It's like a smear of meat inside there. The vast majority of this pie is pastry, beyond any doubt. It is pretty hot. It's sort of tolerable. It's on the verge of burning my mouth. We'll get there. In fact, we'll give it a second because I'm going to go for some contents next. Now, where do we get to? Mike Bazansky, Q, talking pie. Yes, yeah, with the flap. That's right. Sorry, I've already eaten the flap. Can't do it now. Adam Flynn, you can adjust the time delay. You can adjust the time delay. What we saw, timed. Oh, really? Most bizarre. I didn't realize that, Adam. Thank you. I'll check that out. Purple Monkey, 1974. No delay my end in the UK. Very strange. Jim Haynes, and I've never played around with the time delay on there. Some weeks it seems to be quicker than others. Maybe it's just down to my internet being poor. I don't know. Jim Haynes, here finally on a very windy day in Virginia. Well, good morning, Jim, Mr. Haynes. Thank you for joining us again, as always. And, thank you for your support for the channel as well. I really, really appreciate it. I haven't forgotten what you did for me. And I do find those tools very, very useful. So thank you. Kill Switch. BB. Sounds like a crusty pie. It is very, very crusty and extremely pastry-y as well. There's a lot of pastry in there. It's just a little bit hot, that's all. There you go, look. So we've got maybe, if I was to try and average out the thickness, and I mean on this side here, we've got basically hardly any filling at all going on. A very sad 10 millimeters depth of filling on the pie. The pie size, the actual diameter of the pie and stuff, is maybe only fractionally smaller than what you get in the standard sort of pie size, really. It is a little bit smaller. And it's not round, it's more of an oval shape. Okay. So we're probably just over half the pie remaining. There you go, look. Quick scan again at the interior. It's not looking good, is it? Basically, I feel I'm just having a lot of pastry for breakfast. So, taste stroke flavor. Well, the vast majority of the flavor is coming from the pastry. I don't really want to eat just pastry all morning. It's not particularly good. I'm going to give it a 3. Sorry, Irvins. Structure Foley Partners. Well, it's coping okay. I mean, we saw some big cracks, but it was only down to good management that, you know, we managed to eliminate those pretty early on. I'm going to hold back on that. We've got a large crack developing just down the bottom here. Look, if you can see that, I can actually see, if I can maybe open it up a little. I don't want to compromise the pie, but there is a big crack just starting there, look. I mean, given the amount of pastry, it should be like concrete, really. It should be really, really solid. There shouldn't be cracks in it. Let's do a runnability test. So I'm just going to open that flap up. Let's see what it is. It is still very hot, so I mean, if it passes this now, it's not bad. But I mean, there's hardly any filling to run out anyway, is there? So realistically, it should be fine. And I can't see any movement whatsoever. So maybe not a bad pie to eat while you're driving, but you're still going to be pretty hungry by the end of it, I think. Or at least not maybe not hungry, but just not satisfied that you've had a pie. You've just had a bunch of pastry. So runnability is really good. I'm going to give it a 9 for that. Meat quality. Well, there are no large chunks of meat. In actual fact, in all honesty, it's more just little strands of meat. There is some cheese in there, which is good, but it really is just strands of meat as opposed to any kind of lumps. So pretty poor, in all honesty. I'm going to give it a 3 again for that. Meat quality is pretty crap. Now, pie to crust ratio. We know what the answer is to this. There's a hell of a lot of pastry and hardly any filling. So it's going to score very, very low on that. It's by far one of the worst that we've seen. I'm going to give it a 2. I'm sorry, but I am. Now, availability logistics. The 6-pack of pies, which is what this came from. It came from a 6-pack of Irvin's steak and cheese. Is only available from supermarkets, but there's a lot of supermarkets around, so its availability is quite high. So we'll give it, you can't order them online. In actual fact, that's wrong. You can, because you can order online from your supermarket as well. So you can get them online. So we need to give it quite a high score, which I hate to do, but I need to give it that. I need to reflect the truth. So I'm going to give it, you can't get it from pie shops. Here we are. Let's just discuss this more. You can't get it from pie shops. And these come cold. Nowhere can you buy one of these out of a 6-pack that's already warmed up. So that works against it a little bit. You've got to plan ahead. It's more of a home eat pie than anything else. Maybe you could keep a 6-pack in the fridge at work and warm them up at work. Fair enough. But you can buy them online and you can get them from pretty much all supermarkets. So I'm thinking maybe a 7. I think a 7. Because you can't eat them straight away. Pastry taste rating. Well, given the fact there's a ton of pastry, it actually doesn't taste too bad. As far as pastry goes, but there's way too much of it. So, any weird aftertaste? No, but the pastry is very dry. You have to have a drink with this pie. Luckily, I've got a cold coffee, which always helps. No flies in there today, that's good. Gonna give it a 6. A 6 on pastry taste rating. Right, still tasty when cold, but it's not cold yet. We'll come back to that. Packaging design. Well, it's a 6-pack. It's got a cardboard base and then plastic over the top. Cardboard's recyclable, plastic isn't. But the design, well, it holds 6 pies. That's got to be a bonus, hasn't it, rather than just 1. I'm going to give it, I don't know, a 5, middle of the road. Not a lot of thought went into it. It just does its thing. It holds 6 pies. You can see, I mean, you can see the pies because it's clear top. But to be fair, the pies are not a lot to look at. But the fact that you can see them, I'll maybe give it a 6. I'll give it a 6. I'll be a little bit more generous on that. Okay. Recyclable score. Well, the cardboard can be recycled and the plastic film over the top can't. So, middle of the road, 5, I think. Half of it can, half of it can't. Now, pie server attractiveness. Oh yes, I remember the actual purchase. I remember the teller that served us at the till. Not my cup of tea, but I would probably give her I'd give her a 6. We'll give her a 6. Okay, let's have some more pie. The filling's not great. It really isn't. Not the fact that there isn't very much of it, it just doesn't taste great. It's just quite bland. And there's so much pastry, it just overpowers the contents anyway. There you go, look. We're not far off. It does seem to stay together pretty well, and that's partly because of the fact it's such a small pie. You see the cheese fully mixed with the beef, not beef. Well, it is beef, but it's just, I don't know if you can see it or not. It really is more like a gravy beef kind of, a gravy sort of stuff. It's just, the whole thing's liquid. Oh, there really isn't, at no time has there been any kind of chunk of meat, no matter how small. Meat quality, 3. Yeah, might even become a 2 shortly. But there's no gristle, so that's a bonus. Okay, last little bit. I'll try and cool it down to mimic it tasting good when it's cold. I mean, bearing in mind that you'd have to warm this up first to eat it. So the only scenario where you'd ever eat one of these cold is that you're at home, you've warmed up the pie, and then for some reason you've got to go away and do something. And you go, oh, pie's going to be cold. It's never going to be in your glove box. Well, maybe you take it with you and then plan to eat it on the way, but you decide not to and put it in the glove box, leave it a couple of days. Would you eat it? I probably wouldn't, in all honesty, just out of principle. But if you were that hungry, you probably would. Yeah, still tasty when cold. It's going to get a really low score, I think. Because, again, you've got a lot of pastry that's cold. There's not a lot of contents to help wash that down. You'd need a drink. I don't know. I mean, there's no vegetables in there, which is a good thing. I don't know. I think maybe a 3. So, structure falling partners. Well, it didn't fall apart. It did all right, actually. I give it an 8 for that, because there's hardly any crumbs on the bench, very few crumbs on the bench, and despite the cracks, it didn't fall apart. But it was nearly all pastry. I keep saying that, but it was very much nearly all, probably 80% pastry, I'd guess. Post pie heartburn. There was a lot of pastry. Pastry tends to give me heartburn, but no burps yet. Stuffability score. I'm a content. I'm a full. Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 5. It's not great. Post pie heartburn. What should I give it? I'm feeling all right. 8. I'll give it an 8. Wasn't great. I really feel that volume of pastry without any kind of contents to wash it down is definitely going to repeat at some point. Okay, so we got 13 scores. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, it's repeating. We're just going to go for a 7 on that one. See, it's amazing, isn't it? It's like almost on cue. Okay, let's add this up and find out what score it got. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Or is it 3, 2? 3, 2, 1. Right. Oh, just before we start, guess what Mighty Car Mods did recently on their last video that went out? They did a pie review. Honestly, my idea. Anyway, good lads. So what did I say? Replication is a compliment. Anyway, so we've got 11, 20, 25, 32, 38, 41, 47, 52, 59, 64, 70. So he got 70. It's a pretty poor score, to be fair. He got a 70. Right, where's my back in the 6 strip? So it's an Irvine's 6-pack steak and cheese. And it got 70. And I'm going to give it a thumbs down. Well, I'm going to give it an arrow because I wasn't a sad face. It was very disappointing. Okay, how's that? Wasn't good. Wasn't a good pie. Okay, let's have a wander across and see where it ends up on the board. Here we go. Dum 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 dum. Right, we'll stick it on Lily for a second. You hold that, Lily. There, look, that'll do. 70. Oh, we've already got a gap. Right, so just before we put it on, Irvine's steak and cheese. This is the one from the bakers. 93. Scored really well, actually. I mean, you know, not as well as some of them, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad pie. This one, however, the one from the 6-pack, very, very disappointing indeed. Not the worst pie we've ever had, don't get me wrong, but still, 70 is a pretty low score. And all of the taste-related scores were all very low. It was only really what propped it up was the fact that you can get them at supermarkets. And it didn't fall apart. But the meat was crap. And there was way too much pastry. And the pastry was dry. And it didn't really fill me up. So not very impressed. Sorry, Irvine's. And you need to make it more clear on your 6-packs that they're not the same pie that you can get at the baker's. Right. Back to the bench. Oh, actually, before we go back to the bench, here is the shop blasting cabinet. I promised you a quick look at it. Now, you might recognize the metal structure that I've put on the front. It's only temporary, apart from the brackets, which are mounted to the legs. They'll probably stay on there. But that came from the end of the workbench. Just so happened that the 2 legs on the workbench were near as damn it the same width as the 2 legs on the shop blasting cabinet. So it solved a problem. Mrs. Mechanic can now stand on there. We put a axle stand underneath and just the height to get nice and level for her. And she can stand on there so she can see through the window because it's very high up. It really is. Anyway, so first of all, where's me ruler? Hang on. Sorry, YouTube. I'm flicking around. Your qualities might drop at this point. And we need to come back and look at this as well, don't we? So much going on. So I've got my ruler. Let's go and have a little look at the bore of this pipe because it's monstrous. Okay, so this is the pipe that comes from the air compressor, the new air compressor, and it's 19 millimeters internal diameter. That's huge for an airline, absolutely monstrous. So we got 8 meters of pipe. I had to use a little bit to link this little piece together down here. I know it's not pretty, but it works. That's all that matters at the moment. But on the back, we've got the air supply coming in from the air compressor. We've got, see, I labelled them up before I fitted them, so I knew which one went first. So water separator is always first, and it does work. It was spitting out a lot of water yesterday. So that gets the water content out of it, or most of the water content out of the actual air coming in. And then inside this one, there is a filter to get any bits and pieces out as well before it actually goes down. Dum 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 dum. And enters, there's a little solenoid valve down there. You can see there, look, this is the solenoid valve up there, that one. So whenever you open a door, like this one, it has a little sensor here, look. So if there's no metal next to that sensor, hence the door being made out of metal, it automatically trips that solenoid valve and it cuts the power. Basically, well, it trips the valve and stops any airflow into the machine, whether you've got your foot on the foot pedal or not. it stops the air coming in. And of course here we've got we can adjust the flow rates or the pressure going into the machine. The pressure, not the flow rate, adjust the pressure. But yeah, it seems to be working a lot better than it was. Very happy with it. Obviously we had to play around with the little screw down the bottom. There's a little tiny air hole down there, and basically the larger the air hole, the less media flow. So you can screw it all the way in, but then you get sort of clumps of media going up. So it's quite a fine adjustment. It's not a particularly good adjuster. The screw itself will actually move around through vibration. There's no lock nut on it, so you tend to find you're having to keep adjusting it. And there's not a lot of room to play around down there, but I'll maybe be able to fine tune that a bit in the future, or maybe put like some kind of valve on it or something that I can adjust rather than a bolt. We'll have a play around. Yeah, so there you go. That is the shop blasting cabinet. Oh, the lathe. Yes, I broke the lathe. Well, not the lathe itself. Yesterday we had the shop blasting cabinet parked in front of the lathe, and my reverse and forward switch got knocked and it broke it off there, look. So I'm going to have to repair that before I can use the lathe. It's already been repaired once, because hence why it's got a little T-bar on there and a socket wedged on. So yeah, it got knocked and snapped. So yeah, I have that to fix. Bugger. Either that or buy a new one, I don't know, we'll see. I quite liked it with the metal T-bar though, it was pretty cool. Sorry lathe, it's entirely my fault. Right, last thing to look at whilst we're up. This is the design of the new the 700cc footwell support brackets. So there's the design on there. It's still work in progress. I mean, it's almost there. Spot the deliberate mistake. The deliberate mistake was I put two holes in the wrong place. That's the top one, it won't be there. That'll be solid. And the hole here. Now that's just a clearance hole for a bolt that has to be on the bike, unfortunately. And that actually, it's that bolt there. So if I just move these out of the way, bear with me a second. In fact, I'll put you on the tripod. Hang on. I need two hands. So on the bike, you insert these into the frame. There's like a little cavity, so they sit in there like that. There you go. So you bolt those in first, and these bolts, there's like a little V in the outrigger. There's two outriggers for each footwell on the standard bike, and that then traps this plate in place, so that then you can then do it up nice and easily. That's the trick. So we'll just line that one up, and we have what do we use? We use these ones, don't we? So they go in there like that. Okay, and basically these four. These are just, whatever, kicking around, but these will be countersunk M6. So they all stick in there, and they go all the way through the original outriggers and out the top. This is all upside down, by the way. And then you put nuts, washers and nuts on the other end to clamp the footwell down. So it actually works out really simple. There's less components on this, a much simpler thing to fit. And then lastly, at this end, same as the previous design, we've got a little riser that goes on. This sits on the underside of this plate. It's just bolted into place, and that bit sits inside the plastic footwell, so that when you sit on the bike, it pushes down on there and stops the footwell from flexing down. So it's providing support on there, and the underside of this big plate makes contact in a number of places as well. So it really beefs up the whole thing, and we shouldn't see any more failures, hopefully. I managed to get my speed holes in there again. As you can see, double speed holes, so it's an even faster quad bike. It's pretty cool. So yeah, just I've got to do a final drawing for the laser cut guys, but we're almost there. There's no radiuses. Well, there's one there, but there's no radiuses on the drawing at the moment. But there are radiuses on the prototype plates. I think this is the third version that I've done, and I haven't got time to do any more. So this is it. I'm not going to bother cutting these bits out. The laser cut guys can do those. It's just going to take me way too long, and there's no need for me to cut those out, but you've seen those before anyway. Incidentally, the top width of the plate is identical to the 450, but it has to go a lot wider because the just the nature of the design, to be honest. It looks quite bland, a lot less complicated, but it actually is. It was quite simple to put together once I'd got my head around it. So yeah, these are my scribblings. Oh, and that's the old one there, look. That's the 450 one. So luckily I kept the drawing. Always keep your drawings, people. Cardboard's great for that. Right, back to the bench. 3, 2, 1, boom. Right, so let's go sort this out because we're all over the place with the camera at the moment. Dum 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 dum. There we go, that should work. So much to see. I didn't think there was that much to cover today, to be honest. Oh, we're off the step. There we go. That's better. Okay, so we've done the pie. Got a 70. I thought it'd be somewhere in the 60s. It actually did better than I thought, but I think that was down to the fact it was more available through the supermarkets and stuff. I'd forgotten about the fact that you could order from the supermarket online, so it does fall into that online category. Now then, where did we get to? Dum, dum, dum. Oh, so many comments. Here we go. Sheldon, do we get a sneak preview of 7? Hopefully, Sheldon, that's answered your question. A lot more work. But hey, we'll get there. Manic Mechanic, you sound like you are from the UK. I'm from Huddersfield. I have a question. I'm running a K11 micro engine with 2 sets of points, but thinking of using a CB600 ignition to upgrade. Hope it works. Wow, that must be quite an old micro to be on points. I don't see why you couldn't do that. Anything's possible with the right mind. But yeah, if you can get rid of the points, it will make a massive difference. It really will. One of the problems with points is, as you well know, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you'll know this, but only during cranking do the points get fed the full 12 volts. As soon as the engine's fired up and your key comes away from the crank position, the feed to the ignition system through the points goes through a ballast resistor, so it drops the voltage right down, so of course you get a much weaker spark. As the engine revs higher and higher, the dwell time, the period of time that the coils are charging, obviously is reducing because there are more sparks per second because the engine's revving faster. And eventually your spark becomes so weak it doesn't do anything, basically. But with electronic ignition, which I'm sure the CB600 will have, then you know it can run at the full 12 volts all the time, so you get a better spark, more power. John Nuttall, Russell, just so you know, they're all JIS screws used. Yes, as they should be. I regularly use those screwdrivers that Simon sent me on a regular basis. They are brilliant. Even Mrs. Mechanic uses them. Adam Flynn, I have a question to ask. I've checked the resistance on my stick ignition coil and they're in spec, and the wire going to it has power, but there is no voltage getting to the spark plugs. Okay, don't forget you've got permanent power to the coil, and the other wire goes back to the ECU, and the ECU grounds it. So, basically, are you getting current flow through the coils? So what you could do, you could use a little amp clamp or whatever. So with the ignition turned on, the coil should be charging. You should see some current flow. If you're not seeing any current flow, then of course the ECU isn't grounding it. So it could be a driver problem in the ECU. I'm sure Steve will enlighten us on that one. Daz, 323323. Yo, can you get them from the corner dairy? Well, you can, but not the 6-pack, so it doesn't count. You've got to buy the 6-packs from the supermarket. That's what they're designed for. So no, you can't. So the ones that you get from the dairy, I don't think are the 6-packs. They're just the individual pies, which are a different pie. They've got a lot more filling in them. they do sell them individually. Oh, they shouldn't do. They shouldn't do. They're not designed to be. I'm sure it'll say somewhere on the packaging. I'll have a look when I pull it out of the freezer. Not to be sold individually. They're supposed to be sold as a pack. If you're going to sell them individually, you should sell the individual pies, which are different. Sorry, confusing. Sheldon, Adam Flynn, what's the trigger like, i.e. points or pickup coil? I'm assuming, I did assume that the bike ignition is going to be a pickup coil. William Brody, hi Andy from Minnesota, US of A. Good morning, William. What time are we on? Oh, an hour and 25, geez. Adam Flynn, pickup coil is working fine and the fuel pump is working too. Okay, you have a problem. But regardless of the pickup coil, when you turn the ignition on, the coils should have current flow through them. It's only when you crank that the grounding of each coil will be broken in order to create a spark. Remember that the spark only occurs when the field collapses, not whilst there's current flow. It works the wrong way around. It works the right way around, but for those that don't know, they think that the spark should happen when there's current flow, and that's not true. Connor, the airlines coming. Oh, the airlines coming. The filters might need more gradual bend due to the damage of the flexible hose and the risk of high press blowout. I checked that, Connor, and the pipe doesn't kink. I mean, to be honest, when there's pressure in it, man, it's running at 120 psi. There's a hell of a lot of pressure in there. So I think we should be okay. But thanks for that comment. I think we're going to be all right. And it is a reasonable arc that I've put on it. And I can't really adjust it too much. I was very limited. I only got 8 meters of hose. And I had to sacrifice just about 1.5 meters of that just to link the filters. Because I wanted the filters on the back of the cabinet, because then they're out of the way. And there's space where I store the cabinet. And of course, it's got the big filter on the back as well. So it all sort of worked out pretty well. John Nuttall. Andy, are you using tear-off strips on your windows and sandblaster? Yes, we are. We've got some nice clear film with some sticky back stuff on it that you put in there. Mrs. Mechanics, she's only on the second one now, so she's been very good. She regularly wipes them and she makes sure that the gun's always pointing away and there's no media bouncing back, so she's pretty switched on with that. And you can buy new windows for them as well, which is one of the things that I checked. Whether they're a commercial one, you can get all the bits readily without any issues. Sheldon, Adam Flynn, what vehicle stroke bike? It is Adam Flynn says it's RMZ 250 2011. Adam Flynn, Suzuki, it is. Simon Roll, until you use a JS screwdriver, you don't know the difference. It's night and day. It is. You're absolutely right, Simon. It just keys into the head. It's brilliant. It fits as it should do. They are extremely good, and you don't get that cam out problem that you do if you're using the wrong screwdriver. So I think, what are we on? Hour and 28. We're about there. So I'll give you to the end of the cigarette. Any more questions? Now's the time. And hopefully I've answered the ones that came through as best I can, and given you some ideas with your ignition systems and why you're not getting any spark at the coil and so on. But so if it's an RMZ, it won't be an ECU. It'll just be a CDI. 2011, probably just a CDI on that. So you might have a faulty CDI. Have you checked the output of your trigger coil? That's something you need to do. If you're looking at, the first thing to do is to download a service manual. I'm sure you'll be able to get one for a Suzuki. If you're struggling, send me an email. I might be able to twist somebody's arm and get it for you. Simon. Oh, I've done that one. Sorry, it plinked up as if there was another comment. There is another one. Connor says, hit the like button. Thank you, Connor. Hit the like button, guys. So, plan of attack for the next week. Well, today, Mrs. Mechanic was going to be shop blasting. She's not anymore. She's going to be helping me service the ROV because I want to get that done and back to Auckland. But first, I've got one more bracket to make for the footwell plates, because that little riser that goes up into the footwell, unfortunately, on this occasion, unlike the 450 one, it has to be handed. The webs in the footwell just don't really, they're not symmetrical from side to side, so I'm going to have to make a different riser. I've already marked it all out. It's probably about an hour's work, and then I can put the quad bike back together, because that has to go back. It's a second-hand bike that I'm working on this time. I couldn't get a new one, and that has to go back to the dealer tomorrow when I go up to Auckland in the afternoon. So there you go. I'm going to Auckland tomorrow afternoon, hopefully taking the ROV, unless I need any specific parts that I haven't got in stock. I can get that dropped off, and then Tuesday the Ute is going for a service. It's only 6,000 Ks over its service at the moment, so by the time I get it into service, it'll probably be 7,000 Ks over its service point, which is terrible. But they had a 3.5 week lead time to get it booked in, so what do you do? Wednesday is getting a new windscreen put in, because the windscreen's got a crack. It's got 3 massive stone chips and a crack in it, so that needs to be replaced. It's got a warrant of fitness inspection due in May, so that needs to be sorted out for that anyway. So I thought I'd get that done while I'm up there, because I don't know when I'm going to be going back to Auckland. This is the thing, because everything's in flux. There's a lot of cases here in New Zealand at the moment, and there might be, I don't know, probably not, but there might be. There's still a chance of some lockdowns going on. Who knows? So you've got to plan ahead. Thursday, doing admin work at a very particular place. Don't want to give too much away. It's where they decide what bad people have to do for being bad. Not me. I'm not the bad person. I'm just there. And then Thursday night, home. Friday, I'm going to take off because I worked all day yesterday designing the footwells, the support kits. And then Saturday, Sunday, we'll be hopefully spraying parts for this current footwell kit for the second batch for the 450. So we're pretty busy. Go away, fly. There's quite a lot going on at the moment. So that's my week coming up. Simon, Adam Flynn, do you get a single spark when you first try it? Good point. Thanks, Simon. Adam Flynn, there isn't any battery, only a magneto. Only the primary side wire should have ground. I've replaced the CDI, condenser, magneto, and pickup at wit's end. Jeez. Okay, Adam. Maybe Simon can help you in more detail. I'm not that familiar with Suzuki stuff, but I can get you the manual if you haven't got it. I'm sure I can. So if you want to flick me an email through, andymechanic@live.co.uk. If you can give me the full VIN number of the bike, that would be really helpful. We can make sure we get the right manual for you. Killswitch, have to go. Night all. Oh, good night, Killswitch. Thanks for joining us, matey, and I'll see you next Sunday. Take care, matey. Adam Flynn, nope, nothing at all. John Nuttall, was coil damaged when removed from the RMZ? I mean, it could be something simple, just like tracking. So have a look down the inside of the tube, the coil, inside the tube, and see if you can see any sort of tracking marks or white residue. If you can, then there's your problem. The tube's damaged and you'll need to replace the coil. I don't think you've replaced the coil yet, have you? No, you haven't. Okay. Yes, it might be a coil issue. Not so much the windings, but just the high tension output is tracking down the side of the tube and going to ground rather than jumping the gap on the spark plug. Adam Flynn, not sure. Can the coil read good and be broken though? Yes, it can, just from exactly what I've just said. So yeah, that's certainly something you need to have a look at. Get a little torch, have a look down it, pull the rubber bit off the end, have a look down and see if you can see any tracking marks. And also look at the spark plug as well. If it's the original spark plug, you might see a tracking mark down the outside of the porcelain as well. Okay, crew, it's about time that I sign off. The flies are bugging me now, and for some reason they're not going to the light where all his friends are, all burnt. So, same again next week, 8:30 a.m. Sunday. I'll see you then. Thanks for joining, crew, and to all those that support the channel, not in whatever way that you support the channel, thank you very much. And just being here on the live stream is supporting itself. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you next week. All right, cheers. Over and out.